up, bud? Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah,
All right, here we go after 2 weeks off for holidays and NASCAR races on a Sunday night. We welcome you back to the Sim500 811 North Carolina 811.org Grand National Series. Tonight, it is Chicagoland Speedway. This 1.5 mile track that unfortunately kind of sits there collecting dust right now. Should be on the schedule, side note. Is a fun one with a worn out surface, 18 degrees of banking, and literally no straightaways. Hardly at all. And I say that because there's a big curve on the back straightaway. And it's a lot of fun to race at. If you've not seen a race at this track, you're going to get to see one here tonight. It is round number 18 of the Sim500 NC811 Grand National Series as we welcome you to Joliet, Illinois. In Chicagoland, the iRacing default weather in place, 79 degrees, 54% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and of course the 2-mile-an-hour winds. The reason why they do that is because it makes this track all types of slick. Each and every week, that's the way Sim500 likes to race, and that's what we have this evening in this Grand National Series race. 110 laps around this track. It's going to be a fun one. I'm the captain. We welcome you in on this Sunday night of racing, ready to rock and roll. Qualifying going to be coming up here in just a few minutes. The reason why I wanted to come on a little early is, one, because I have a chance to, but two, obviously it's been a little bit since we've been here with this Grand National Series and kind of want to review a little bit what has happened so far on this season. We've done 17 races. And let's check out the points, because after tonight, there's only 2 opportunities to get into the playoffs. One thing I've kind of stressed a little bit as I show the playoffs on, or the point standings right now, is that this season is a lot shorter than the Cup Series that you see on Monday nights. And the reason is because the NFL season is coming. And of course, with Sundays, they tried to shorten up the Grand National Series to allow football fans to watch football on Sunday nights instead of having to sit here and compete against football with the playoffs and stuff like that. So the top 16 are in on points. So you look down there, Tommy Ryan right now the points, the playoff guy, by 1 over Brian Macklin. Joe Hudson's right there, 1 point back. Anthony Calantoni's only 3 points back. And then you get a little gap between Doug Roth, Robert Friery. You got Charles Van Schaik, Joey Jatina, Glenn Campbell, Jimmy Coleman, and then Kevin Stone sits down there about 86 points back, if I'm doing the numbers correctly there. Just quick math off the top of my head. And with that said, obviously it's a little bit of a battle for Kevin and some of those guys to get up there. But this battle is going to really pick up here. And we've got a very cool series of tracks coming up here before we get into the playoffs. We got Chicagoland tonight. Then we go to Nashville Super Speedway next week. And then Atlanta. Yes, the same Atlanta we've been running Monday night and, of course, on Wednesday. We'll see if that ends up still being the new version or the old version. There have been some changes lately on the schedule because of just scheduling conflicts and things like that. So not anything set in stone, no pun intended, Kevin, but we should have a fun series of 3 races coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Now, I'm looking at something here, and let me make sure I might have been just wasting about 2 minutes of your guys' time, because I'm looking over, and it shows Mojica with only 3 wins. And that's where I just caught this. And let me make sure I have the updated point standings. If that's the cut points, then that's a whole different situation right there. I thought I was prepared. See what happens? You sit here and you get prepared this whole entire time. The last hour, I've been sitting here preparing. And I think I got it wrong. I'm pretty sure I got it wrong. I'm way off. Yeah, because Pedro's got more than 3 wins. So there you go. Richard Beasley, if you're watching the broadcast, you got something else to pick on me about now. We were having some fun Friday night running the Midnight Thunder series. Mr. Beasley was giving me all types of grief of some things I've said recently on streams. And you know what? I'm totally okay with it, because I pick on myself too. So, shows that I'm a one-man show 99% of the time, and I ain't perfect. Far from it. But hopefully you guys sit back and enjoy it. And feel free to pick on me in the stream all you want to. Alright, so I've updated the wins. Here we go. There's your updated point standing. So let's back up 3 minutes and do all this all over again. Mojica leads the points over Chad Coleman. The difference is here is Pedro has 8 wins and not 3. So that part's accurate. So down to the bubble. Brian Wertman right now on it. And he is about 9 points up on Jeff Ryan. Ron Holyfield, Mike Montesi, Glenn Campbell, Coleman, Branch, Stones. Some of the guys are still the same names that you normally see on a Sunday battling it out. Those guys are right there on this list. So obviously, plenty of things, plenty of time here in these 3 races to make your move if you're Jeff Ryan, Ron Holyfield, or even Mike Montesi. However, if you're Coleman or Campbell or Branch or Kevin Stone, Yoakum, Fuller, you've got a lot of work to do really quickly. Now, not to put a detriment into this, if you're Brian Wertman, obviously we all know Wertman. He likes to kind of hang out, play it very safe, get his car to the finish with the best finish possible. That's going to work so much, but if you get some wins out of Justin Fuller, if he shows up for these couple races, if you get good finishes for Glenn Campbell or Jimmy Coleman, Montesi, those guys could knock you right out of the playoffs here. So I think if you're Brian Wertman, Doug Sigmund, who's only 5 points above, even Kevin DeBrown, who's had some struggles this season, he's only 14 points above. I think those guys got to look at this as, hey, go get the best you can here and take advantage of this race. So 3 races to go. Chicagoland, Nashville, Atlanta on the schedule here as we get ready to rock and roll. All right, got about 2 minutes left to go in practice. Let's step away real quick. Let's hear from our sponsor, 811, as we get you ready for Chicagoland Round 18 of the Sim500, 811.org Grand National Series. It's the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
All right, back we are here at Chicagoland Speedway as we look out from the fans. Got 26 cars, it looked like, that have logged into the race tonight. Got a couple of names that I was talking with a couple of drivers off the air, and they were like, man, we haven't seen this guy in a long time. So looking forward to seeing some of these newcomers, or I should say returning drivers on the track, and looking forward to seeing what kind of action we have here tonight. Joe Hudson right now is at the top of the charts in this race with a 30.99, but I do know Joe was talking about he was struggling on the long run tire-wise, so I'll have to see how much that plays a role in the race here this evening. Let's look at the race information for tonight. Again, 110 laps. Obviously, 3 races until the playoffs. You got 50 to 55 laps on a tank of fuel. So plenty of drama potentially if this race goes green for a while. That we could see some fuel mileage come into play. I think tire wear is going to come into play. You only have 3 sets of tires to work with in this series. So a lot of things that can happen here come tonight here at Chicagoland. All right, qualifying is about to begin. And as always, qualifying presented by 811. Know what's below. Call 811 before you dig. So we'll go out down here on track, and as per usual, you will see the qualifying stuff down at the bottom of the screen. If they are faster than the pole lap, their colors will be purple. If they're on a quicker lap than their previous lap, it'll be green. If they're on a not so good of a lap, it'll stay yellow on the screen. Kind of like road course racing when you see that going on. All right, first car out on track. Looks like it's going to be Doy Woods in the Haviland number 28 Ford Mustang. Now, of course, everybody's going to qualify pretty much at one time here, so you're going to see a lot of people show up on the screen here and just flicker through really quickly. Down the back straightaway, you saw the curve that you have to put up with at this track. And that's going to be critical later on in this race because you're going to have cars entering turn 3 and they're going to freak that the wall curves and you could hit it. So Doy sets the lap first. Let's see, though, how it goes compared to the others. 31.46 for Doy. And it looks like this time carries the top side here. All right, let's see where everybody's lining up right now. Glenn Campbell, 31.44. Doy Woods, a 45. Mojica, a 65. Let's check on Pedro here as he goes down the back straightaway, the points leader. Scott Simley to the pole with a 31.32. Good lap there. Mojica to the top at a 31.17. Gillenwater, 31.24 P2. I do not see Tyler Dalton in this race right now, so we could be seeing our pole sitter right there with that lap. Excuse me. Here's Justin Fuller, the 51, the units Mustang. Calantoni logging a lap at P6. Of course, he gets bumped down by E.J. O'Rourke, who goes P5. Fuller goes P2 at a 31.20. And that'll be it for him as he completes his second lap. Here's a couple of weapons here on the track, and I mean this in pole-sitting weapons, not actual race weapons. Good drivers here. Thomas Lewandowski, as he completes his first lap, 32.24. He'll be a lot better than that on the second lap. Carries the top side here as Calantoni jumps to 5th. The other car we'll watch here is Larry Pace, who is usually really good on these worn-out surfaces. You see O'Rourke jump to 4th, 31.23. Thomas, a little bobble there. Able to catch it. Loose is fast and on the edge of out of control as he crosses the line. Thomas jumps to 8th, 31.32. As Larry Pace going to come across the line. His first lap is 31.93. So that first lap, they're pretty much treating like a throwaway lap. Getting their tires up to 10. Look at him running the boards. You're going to see the groove all over the place here tonight. Joe Hudson up to 9th. You see Larry good arc down into that bumpy 3 and 4 section. Shallow off turn 4 down into the tri-oval area across the line. And Larry Pace P2 at a 31.18. It says 17 on the timing and scoring board that you're seeing on the display, but it's actually an 18 over here with the estimation. So that's how much quicker Mojica was. Not too much quicker. And looks like everybody is going to be done. I think Mike Kelly's going to try to get a lap in, but he's about to lose that lap here in about 2 seconds. And there we go. Checkered flag on qualifying. So Pedro Mojica will be on the pole, of course, presented by the North Carolina 811. No, it's below. Call before you dig in dial 811. And let's take a second. Let's bring up the driver of the 58 car. It's been a little bit since we've had a chance to talk to him. So let's bring the pole sitter up here and welcome him back to a Sunday night of race here. And Pedro, you go out there and win the pole tonight. Very close over that 00 car of Larry Pace. And needless to say, you got some pretty good competition here tonight if you want win number 9.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a good crew of guys that came out tonight. Chicagoland's a fun track, so it's no surprise.
How are we feeling out there? I'm hearing some people tell me that it could be interesting after about 10, 15 laps as these tires wear. Of course, we're going to be all over the track, it looks like, too.
Yeah, its setup gets pretty loose, so it's yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So it's going to be real important about saving tires and whatnot. So.
All right, my man. Well, hey, best of luck to you as you continue to lead these points. 3 races before the playoffs, so let's go get it.
All right, yeah, we're going to have some fun tonight.
Absolutely, sounds good. Pedro Mojica on the pole here this evening as they're out running their warm-up lap, which is kind of, they just go out and see where their pit stall is and that kind of thing. So, all right, grid is set. Cars are gridding as we show you the starting lineup across the top of the screen. Pedro Mojica on the pole. Alongside Larry Pace, Justin Fuller there in the inside of row number 2. And let's, is Larry in here? Let me check the Discord page. All right, Larry is not in here. I was going to talk to him real quickly, but he, not her. Justin Fuller, Scott Simley, CEJ O'Rourke. Let's actually, you know what? Let's bring up Brian Wortman. As the pressure is on him right now. And we'll get a quick word with him here. And probably shock him when I bring him up here. Wortman, you got a copy? Brian Wortman, you there, bud?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, quick question here for you. I know we're about to go green, but I have to ask, obviously, you are the bubble boy right now. With 3 races to go going into the playoffs, are any kind of pressure, or is it more just do the best you can?
Well, with Joey Katina not here, it's a little bit of pressure off.
Fair.
I know he's somewhere around near the bubble, but hopefully we can simulate what we did last year that I was up in the top 4, top 5 with like the last green, white checkered before my transmission decided to, not work.
Yeah, we don't need that happening. Well, best of luck here this evening, bud.
Thank you.
Absolutely. As they come to the green, I've noticed that Larry Pace is off the track. So is Charles Van Schaik and Kevin DeBrown on pit road. So this is going to be a little bit different of a start. 110 laps going to make up the race here tonight at Chicagoland Speedway. It's round number 18 of Sim500 in the NC811 Grand National Series as we go racing. Our cameras tonight presented by TrackCams22.com. You can check them out online on Facebook and in the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com. As Mojica off to a pretty good lead. He's got Justin Fuller there behind him. As I watch Larry Pace and Kevin DeBrown have both left pit road. So the only person did not take the green flag officially is Charles Van Schaik, it looks like. Up here for second, that's Fuller. Underneath O'Rourke, as O'Rourke's going to go by. EJ likes to run that top side, and I think that's where you're going to see that 41 run a majority of this race. And there he goes, climbing the top to the second groove, the 41. He's making it work really quickly here. Hopefully he don't burn his tires off making that move. But EJ O'Rourke to the top and to the lead. The draft going to play a pretty big role in this race. Not only that, but you're also going to see handling come into play. Is everybody down to the bottom right now? O'Rourke about a half a groove up. And I talked about this back straightaway. You see this curve. Well, you can't see it from this angle. As Kevin Brown back on pit road, so not sure what's going on with the 93. I don't know if he's got some kind of setup issue or... Not sure what's going on there. Unfortunate. Here's Bob Gillenwater inside of Simley there, as you see Simley climb the top. And the one thing I'm catching right now is this middle of the top groove is actually looking faster right now than the bottom. Lewandowski there in the 6th position, that blank number 20 car. A lot of blue cars in this race I've come to notice, including that one right there in the 84 car. And I'm going to bring him up real quickly. Anthony Calantoni. Tomorrow night, we've got a little different going to happen when we race tomorrow night's race, and that's because Talking Giants, the podcast, hosted, of course, with Anthony Calantoni and those guys involved in that. They're going to be the sponsor of the main race tomorrow night. So looking forward, we're actually going to talk Little Giants and so on and so forth. Looking forward to that race tomorrow night. So come and join us. Kevin and I will be obviously in the booth, and should be a fun race tomorrow night for the Cup Series from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Talking Giants 150. It's kind of interesting. We'll be up in Boston area talking Giants football. Twist there. Charles Van Schaik has Talking Giants versus the world. I'm sorry. Charles Van Schaik has made it onto pit road and going to join the race. Unfortunately, 8 laps down. Not sure what happened with Charles, if he just missed a start or had something come up. But yes, Talking Giants versus the world. They're going to find out tomorrow night that I actually know a little something about Giants football. I've been kind of holding back on you guys. So Larry Pace is about 10 seconds off the lead in 24th position after starting off of pit road. Charles Van Schaik, as I mentioned, he's 9 laps down, or I'm sorry, 6 laps down. Kevin DeBrown ran 2 laps and is off track now, so not sure again what is going on with the 93. But O'Rourke pulling away to about a 0.4 of a second lead over Scott Simley, who's now gone around Pedro Mojica for second. Justin Fuller up to the 4th position. Our biggest mover in the race is that car right there, that 81, the Ford Performance Mustang. Josh Parker started back in the 23rd position, is up to 14th. Or I'm sorry, up to 9th, plus 14. Stefan Marinek there, Jeff Ryan, Mike Kelly, his teammate there behind him. 1, 2, and 3 literally on the screen, just not position-wise. As Fuller has passed his teammate Mojica for third. And I think this is more Mojica maybe saving some tire a little bit here. As Lewandowski now looking topside on Pedro. 3 and 4 got some vicious bumps over in that part of the track. Especially mid part of the corner. As you get up there about the middle groove, you'll see these cars kind of porpoise a little bit, kind of like you see at Iowa in turn 1 and 2. There you see that curve on the back straightaway I was talking about. Not so straight. And it's ironic with us being here at Chicagoland Speedway. This week was the actual anniversary of the Tropicana Orange making its way on the track. As for the lead, Scott Simley all over the back of the 41. Bringing Fuller with him. Todd Zegady's 15 minutes of fame, unfortunately, in NASCAR is him against the orange. But yet we forget he was a pretty good modified driver, a pretty good Busch North driver. Simley going to slide up on O'Rourke and take the lead. That was close. O'Rourke with a crossover there and had to check up a little bit. Simley taking that lead away. Fuller going to come to second. I thought he was going to bring Mojica with him. But you've got 6 cars now within a second of the lead here. Back here, Jason Branch trying to make some moves here just outside the top 10 as he tries to get around Doy Woods. The 88 there, the Navy colors, and then the 99 of Tommy Ryan, Chad Coleman there behind him. Let's bounce back up here to third, Mojica. Hey, I'll say this on the side note there, Justin. There's a part of me that wants to see Saquon not play, and it's a bias reason, and it's because one of your other running backs. So there's Parker behind Calantoni. Steve Ritter there in the 16, also so far having a good run, 9th position there. Very impressed with Simley. That was one of the other things I got picked on from Monday. What was it, about half the race I talked about Scott Simley running well, and it wasn't even Scott Simley. He wasn't even in the race. I was having fun with that one. Beasley has his moments of picking on me, which is totally fine. So 19 laps in, Larry Pace, as you see, is already starting to climb up through the field, up to the 18th position, trying to at least grab it from Joe Hudson there. There's Van Schaik there behind him. Tommy Ryan getting around Jason Branch, move him to the 11th position. And O'Rourke must have killed his tires because he's lost 3rd to Mojica. And now I'm about to lose the 4th position to Lewandowski. EJ not feeling that personal comfort, unfortunately, in his car. Laps complete, and as mentioned, 50 to 55 laps on a tank of fuel will get you to the finish on one stop. That's if you get to the 55 part. Now, obviously, some cars might try to stretch it. If they can get to 60, then obviously they're good to go, as EJ had a slide off turn 4. That was close. And I think Tommy Ryan's got some blinking issues, unfortunately, and is warping out. Tough break for the 99. Top 3 have about 0.8 of a second over Charles Lewandowski, and then O'Rourke behind them. And there's Bobby Gillenwater. Painting that bottom line, trying to make some moves. You see EJ fighting the wheel now. Up front, here comes Pedro. He sat back, let the tires kind of stay cool, and now makes the move past Fuller, and now going to try to get it back on Simley. Oh, Simley got the outside wall. So Mojica back to the lead on lap 24. As back here, Mike Kelly losing a couple spots. Branch going back by. There's Jeff Ryan, who slides up the track. Seeing another car maybe having some blinking issues. Stefan Marinik here in the 1. That is him having the blinking issues. The one having the toughest view of that is this guy right here, Seth Foudy. He was the one driver I was talking about earlier that people mentioned, hey, he hasn't been around in a while. Good to see Seth back. Obviously, I've never had a chance to call his race, but he's raced here plenty. That number 36 car. Interesting looking colors. So Gillenwater's gone by O'Rourke for 5th. Next on his list will be Callan Tony, who's got Josh Parker now all over him. See how loose his car is getting now. Time's already fallen off about 1 3/4. As up against the walls, O'Rourke. Parker getting real loose, and O'Rourke with issues. I'm not sure. And Brian Wortman's off the track now. I'm being told that O'Rourke has disconnected. Interesting move there is Ryan getting uptight on Branch. Marinik tries to go to the bottom. That car's all types of sideways as he tries to make the move. And as I mentioned, 3 races left with tonight before the playoffs. We go to Nashville next week and then Atlanta Motor Speedway in the final weekend of July. And then the playoffs begin. 16 drivers. racing for the NC811.org Grand National Series Championship. Let's go back here. 4th position, Bob Gillenwater inside of Simlew's. Oh, that's close. So Gillenwater, Parker, and Simley all battled out. 4th position, almost some 3 wide as Parker continues to make his moves through the field. EJ O'Rourke has reappeared. But unfortunately, numerous laps down. The good thing about Chicago, it does bring you some great racing side by side and some great battles throughout. As Gillenwater must have had some issues there in the corner because a bunch of cars gone by. Simley, Parker, Calantoni, Gillenwater falling back here to 7th. And the one guy who's sneaking up here, I hadn't even said a word about really, is Thomas Lewandowski, who's up to 3rd. And only 1.3 seconds back and seems to be maybe reeling in Mojica. Last time by, he was about 6/100ths faster. But he's got 1.3 seconds. See if he can get to that 58. Fuller's right there with him. And now all of a sudden we got a hornet's nest here. Steve Ritter, Chad Coleman, Mike Kelly, all part of this battle. So the question here is, on the fuel side, if you cannot make it to lap 55, where do you pit? Do you come at lap 40 and make it a 2-stopper 40-80? Do you go and pit maybe in the next couple laps here? As Calantoni kissed the wall a little bit. Do you go as far as you can go? I think there's some interesting strategy that you're going to see here come into play. I say that as Nick Cashman comes to pit road, so Nick unfortunately running in the back there. See if that's a scheduled stop or if he had some issues there. As these guys continue to battle it out for the, pretty much call it 4th place on back. So Cashman, that was a scheduled pit stop, 14.9 for him. So we know obviously he is short on fuel and is going to go with the 2-stopper and just split it in 3 pretty much. You see Parker's gone by for 4th. Calantoni trying to make a move for 5th. Not sure who that was off the pace. Was that Cashman? It sure was. It was on the apron over in turn 3 and 4 as the leaders were going by, so the Chipotle car off the pace there. Not sure what's happening there. Let's go back to this battle as they just continue to fight it out. Chad Coleman now coming in, so you're starting to see the comers and goers of those who have saved their tires and maybe a little bit of fuel in the early running of this race. They had 4 different lines from 4 different cars right there. Steve Ritter going to take the 6th position from Simley as now he starts to fall back. Maybe got those tires worn out just a little bit here. All right, let's step away for a quick second. Let's hear a word from our sponsor, 811, and get you green flag pit stops potentially here in just a second as you're watching the Sim500 Grand National Series on the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
All right, back we are here at Chicago as you continue to watch this battle. Parker, Calatoni, and Ritter right there in the front side of this battle. And you see Coleman, Mike Kelly, Scott Simley, Bob Gillenwater, all in this battle here. Mojica leads still by 1.05 seconds over Justin Fuller, 1.7 back is Lewandowski. As Ritter starting to make a move, his inside of Calatoni for 5th. The 3 cars off the track right now. Kevin DeBrown, Tommy Ryan, who had some connection issues, and EJ O'Rourke. Otherwise, still 23 cars on the track. As we'll complete 44 laps this time by. And Tommy Ryan actually has just come back onto the track, so he's going to unfortunately be some 22 laps down, but going to try to get whatever positions he can get. There's Chad Coleman right on the right rear. Calatoni who got a little loose. And I thought I saw Parker maybe get the walls. They're turn 3 into 1. Or turn 3. What? They're 3 wide into 1. English. Here, Larry Pace is coming to the battle. Look at Larry up to the top 10. The man started on pit road. And he's running laps comparable to the leader. Is here for 2nd. Lewandowski to the inside. And going to pass Justin Fuller for 2nd. And Josh Parker off the pace over in 3. And Fuller works his way back by. There's things happening everywhere here. See if this is a scheduled stop. It looks like it is for Parker. I know he came in off the apron, which is a interesting move there. As now Fuller and Lewandowski battle for the 2nd spot. Oh, they ain't cleared yet. Tommy Ryan's back there eating some popcorn. Parker's still on pit road, so I think it's a little more than tires and fuel for him, unfortunately. Fantastic racing right here. See Fuller down there at the bottom, gonna slide on up out of the corner. Clean racing here, but fun. Lewandowski able to pull 2/10 there off of turn 4. That time by, as we are 50 laps in now. So here we go with the fun and games. You got to get to 55 to make it to 110. Without blowing a tire, by the way, too. To update the other battle that we were watching from 5th on back, those guys have sort of separated. There's kind of a battle starting to form with Marinick and Calantoni right here. We'll watch that also, timing and scoring wise. As a matter of fact, let's do this for everybody. I've started to do this and kind of forgotten about it. Let's get everyone a chance who's watching on the stream, if you would like to see the timing and scoring of what I'm seeing pretty much and your own version of it. I will stick it in the message here for you. Right there. Just click that link and edit whatever you want to see and not see on timing and scoring. You can see where everybody's running right off of my stuff. Fuller trying to make that bottom work, not able to do so. So obviously the fuel numbers I had were way off because, well, everything else is way off. So they're coming up on lap 55 right now, and it looks like no one's having issues getting to it. Well, I say that as Ron Holyfield comes to pit road at 54. He's the first one to dive in. Fuller is, I was wondering if he was going to try to slide him here. Yo! So yeah, everybody's in the window it looks like now, so fuel mileage is not even a question now. So Mike Kelly on pit road, Jason Branch, Doug Sigmund, Jeff Ryan. Here comes the leader, Mojica. Thomas Lewandowski jumps down on the apron. He's going to come to pit road, or try to. Oh, do not speed. Some reason I've always had the numbers that you could not go 60 laps on a tank here, or 55 to 60 on a tank, so I stand corrected. My apologies on that one. And you see everybody coming to pit road right now. 4 tires and fuel. There goes Pedro leaving his stall after a 15.3. Not sure if that car to the left there missed their pit stall. Is that Marinick? Might have missed pit road. He sure did, because he's the leader of the race now. As Fuller, Pace, Gillenwater, Coleman, Campbell, all these guys are in now. So unless we get a yellow, this should be the one stop everybody's going to need to get to the finish as Marinick makes it to pit road, so he did not run out of gas. Joe Hudson to 15, a little bit of right rear damage on that car. So pit stops cycle through. It is Pedro Mojica with a 5.5. Second lead over Lewandowski. Now Justin Fuller 7.3 back with that one extra lap he ran in the strategy here. Now it's just a matter of who can save their tires enough to go the last 50 laps here and have a car potentially to work with at the end of this race. And of course, do we see the yellow flag at all? So next week, again, these guys are in Nashville. We'll have two races to go before the playoffs kick off. And then tomorrow night, it is New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the Cup cars. So last season in this race, it was Daniel Falkingham going to victory lane. Chad Coleman finished second in the race. That race actually saw 4 cautions. And it looks like a green-white checker also, as it was a 120-lap race in that one. Gillenwater finished third. Tyler Dalton, Pedro Mojica from the pole finished in the 5th position. Tonight, though, not looking so bad for Pedro's. He's got the 5.1 second lead now over the field. As we watch the battle for 5th, Larry Pace, who is, again, let's note, started on pit road. He did not start the race in the pack. And he is now working his way to the 5th position here inside of Steve Ritter. He was supposed to start outside pole, but something must have happened. He missed a start. And the only time, really, Larry's lost since the start of the race was right there in that pit stop. He was running about 8 to 9 seconds the whole entire time behind Pedro, which was about the time he spent on pit road. At least according to my telemetry, it was like 8.2 seconds or so from the time he left his pit stall to the track. So Larry continuing to do well. Steve Ritter there behind him. Chad Coleman starting to approach. So Mike Kelly up to the 4th position, up 18 positions. So great job on his part being one of the biggest movers of the race. Starting 22nd, working your way to 4th in a race that hasn't seen a single yellow flag yet. Pretty impressive here after 66 laps. So Lewandowski's done a good job of just kind of maintaining his distance with Pedro. Keeping it right there at 5 seconds as it kind of fluctuates a little bit. The question can be, can he find a way to gain some time? Pedro's usually pretty good at the long run and saving tires. As Larry Pace works the bottom on Kelly. You heard Kelly lift a little bit there. He just said, Larry, go ahead and take it. You've got it. Chad Coleman coming up on the back of the 2 car now, so again, right now just in that part of the race where you log laps and try to save your stuff, and obviously got a lot of distance between cars here. As you see, it's 5 seconds back to Lewandowski from the leader. He got about 1.3 seconds back to Fuller, then it's 3.5 back to Pace, and then of course you got that clump of 3 there. Then you got a second back to Ritter. Then you got 5 seconds back to Calantoni. Then there's a little clump there of cars. There's those 3 there. And then behind Marinix, another 3 seconds back to Branch in 11th. And he's got Sean Foudy on his rear. And it's about a second back to Scott Simley, who's just fallen back to the 13th position. Glenn Campbell there 14th. Doy Woods having a struggle tonight on a track that I thought he'd run pretty well at. 15th position for that 28 car. And Chad Coleman did get by Mike Kelly, by the way, for the 5th position. So move Chad up to P5. As Calantoni and Gillenwater have kind of settled down here. Let's go back to Foudy, who's made the pass on Jason Branch for the 11th position. All right, let's step away for a quick second, and we'll come back and get you to the finish of this NC811.org Grand National Series race here at Chicagoland Sim500 action on the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
All right, back we are here at the Chicagoland Speedway as we are 36 laps to go. Pedro Mojica with a 5-second lead over Thomas Lewandowski. Justin Fuller third. Larry Pace now up to the 4th position. I think this is a good opportunity where I'm just going to quiet myself down for a couple laps and let you enjoy the action here of Sim500 as we turn it up. Thanks to frontstretch.com. Easily the drive of the night right here belongs to Larry Pace. I knew he was fast. I've watched him drive. He obviously knows what he's doing out here. But this man is driven from beginning on pit road to going for third, and he's knocked off about 2 seconds off Mojica's time here with 30 laps to go, and now tries to get around Justin Fuller for the 3rd position. Larry going to slide up and take the spot away. So the wide open segment presented by frontstretch.com. Of course, today's New Hampshire race. For those who don't want a spoiler, don't worry, you don't have one. There's no race today because of a front that went through the area. So you can see the race tomorrow at noon. We'll cover it for you there on frontstretch.com. And, of course, our podcast and so much more you can check out on the website. And coverage of the IndyCar race from earlier today, and even some dirt track action. And some sliding from Justin Fuller there, just clobbered the outside wall. And that car all kinds of sideways off the corner. So check it all out, frontstretch.com. Fuller's going to lose a lot there. He hit that wall a ton, and I saw skid marks and everything, so he had that car all kinds of sideways. Mike Kelly's going to go by. And Fuller sideways again. And still trying to save it as he comes to pit road, and he does. So tough break for Fuller, who was having a great run up there in the top 5 throughout the night. Looks like he's going to come get tires and fuel and go from there. There's your leader, Pedro Mojica, started on the pole for the second straight year at Chicagoland. Of course, last season a 5th place finish for him. Tonight looking to improve 4 spots and go to victory lane, but still plenty of time here to go in this race. And Fuller is back on track, 20th position now. Unfortunately, a lap and a half down. There's Lewandowski's falling back to 6.8 seconds. Larry Pace running about a 10th quicker than he is, so it is entirely possible that the 00 can get up to the 20 for second. It's only about a 2-second separation. As I mentioned, there's Larry, 8.9 seconds still back. He's kind of maintaining with Mojica as he tries to claw his way up to the second position. Chad Coleman's been kind of following Larry. 10.2 seconds back. Chad has gained 15 positions on the evening, which is second best to the guy right here behind him, Mike Kelly, who runs 5th. 17 positions gained for him. Mike having a fantastic run in that Trans Service number 2. Here's a guy having a great run also, Steve Ritter, in this number 16 car. Last few weeks his qualifying has really stepped up, and now we're starting to see the performance kind of come together as Ritter runs in the 6th position, 12.8 seconds back. It looks like another great night if he can finish off these last 22 laps here in this race. Stefan Marinik in the 7th position. Stefan started back in the 18th position at Dungeons & Dragons number 1. A little bit of an internet connection a little bit ago, but he was able to get that straightened out, and looks like he's doing a pretty solid job here. 7th position. Anthony Calantoni there in the 8th position. Of course, we talked a little bit about tomorrow night. The Talking Giants versus the World 150 at New Hampshire in the Cup Series. Looking forward to the fun there with Anthony. As I said earlier, kind of an interesting concept of seeing the New York sponsorship in a Boston market. Looking forward to that. It should be fun. All part of John Boy Media's that show. Bob Gillenwater, who I heard him on the microphone a little bit ago. I think he was talking to Anthony. Said, hey, do I have any damage on the car? And so I get a chance to look around here at it. Maybe the right rear, you can see a little bit of damage on that 4. And you wonder if it's killed the side force in the handling of that car. As he is 19 seconds back, right behind Calantoni. Then behind them, in the 10th position, Seth Foudy. Having a great run tonight. Started 24th. He's up to 10th. Glenn Campbell in the 44 car up to 11th. Glenn, one of those that has struggled at this track. But not so bad tonight. 11th position for the 44. Maybe you can sneak up there and battle with Seth for the 10th position, but we'll see. Jason Branch, the 88, running into 12th position. Doing a good job. He started 15th. guy here that led early in this race, but unfortunately the struggle bus has hit him hard. That's at 12 of Scott Simley. Led some laps early, and it got into the outside wall, and that car has been struggling ever since. And another driver I thought would run pretty well tonight, this 28 car of Doy Woods. Doy usually pretty sporty on these worn out surfaces, but tonight just unfortunately not a good one for him. So he runs 14th right now. Started 13th, so he's literally gone nowhere. There's the bubble guy. We were talking earlier, Brian Wortman, 15th position for him. He's kept the car out of trouble. He did go through the grass for a little bit, but was able to keep it out of the wall and has kept it clean. And in the top 15 right now. Ron Holyfield there behind him. That is the 16th position. As you see second place Lewandowski there behind him. And it looks like Justin Fuller having more issues and going to bring it back to pit road. And now the battle for 8th is on. Calantoni under attack from Gillenwater. Ooh, Anthony almost getting the wall there. And Gillenwater's going to clear him for position, so move Bob up to 8th. Making the best out of a tough situation there. And look, as I just said a few minutes ago, Glenn Campbell had a chance to maybe get to the back of that 36 car, and there he goes, inside for 10th. And move that trans service number 44 up to the top 10 right now with 13 laps to go. So Nashville Super Speedway next week for this Grand National Series. Looking forward to seeing you join us at 8:15 Eastern Time. As we'll have 2 races left before we hit the playoffs. Let's jump up here to this potential battle for second, as Larry's got it down to about a half a second on Lewandowski. That's him in the blue car up ahead. Larry's got that thing all types of sideways through the corner. Obviously, as they say, catching's one thing, passing's another. You see Wortman let Larry go, and you look right behind him. And that might be a battle for 15th here in a second, as Holyfield's starting to catch Wortman. And what could potentially be a battle for a lucky dog if a yellow comes out. I say that as Pedro goes to lap Scott Simley. 8 laps to go, and you see pace has gotten to Lewandowski. Can he make this pass happen? Seven laps to go. Larry going to drop it to the bottom. He got a good run off the corner, did Larry. Larry's really good at driving a loose race car, I'm noticing. Oh, Tom goes down to aero block. Best way to keep a man from passing you, throw the air on him. Five to go. Now they both go up towards the top. Yeesh. And they are both driving hard right now. Coleman too far back, it looks like right now, unless something were to happen to get to them too. Oh, Larry got to the right rear. Can he get the run through the corner here? Not able to. Still got 2 laps to go. Mojica bringing it off turn 4. He has crossed the line. White flag, final lap. The battle stays here for second. 2/10 separating them. This is why people love Chicagoland. As Pedro Mojica comes off turn 4, looking at checkered flag number 9. Chicagoland goes to Pedro Mojica. And the battle for second. Larry turns it all kinds of sideways, drag racing to the line. Lewandowski holds him off. Coleman finishing 4th. Mike Kelly gets 5th. Nice little burnout there from Pedro. All right, let's get you the finishing order. There at the top of the timing and scoring as we go caution-free here at the Chicagoland Speedway. Mojica wins it over Lewandowski. Larry Pace comes back to finish third. Chad Coleman, Mike Kelly, your top five, and what ended up being a fantastic battle there for the second position. Let's bring up our third place finisher here, Larry Pace, who unfortunately missed the start there. I'm not sure if something had happened because I believe I saw you grid up, and then you were off the grid, and then you were back, and unfortunately pretty much for 100 laps maintained a 8 to 9 second gap on Pedro, but just rolled through the field.
Yeah, I was having some issues with iRacing. Every time the session would progress, it would completely freeze, lock up. I'd have to restart the computer, and it did that going to the grid, which super disappointing. I love this track. I only run Sunday nights every so often when the track kind of suits my fancy. So I was really looking forward to it. But yeah, just unfortunate, just a little bit of an iRacing hiccup.
It's still a great battle to see you come all the way up to third and maintain the whole entire time. You come up to Thomas there, and we were on board with Thomas watching him do the old arrow block to you to try to keep you behind him. How fun was that, or should we say how agonizing was it?
It was still super fun. That was the hardest I've ever worked to finish third. Absolutely. You know, if I started second, I don't know if I would have had anything for Pedro anyway. He's very good, but I would have liked to have a shot. But man, it was a blast driving up through the field. A lot of respect given from the guys in the field, I'll say that much. And me and Tom always race each other extremely hard, but extremely fair. And I knew I was going to have to work him over pretty hard in the closing laps, but didn't expect him to make too big of a mistake. And that top in 1 and 2 is so good. It was hard to make anything happen. I was just trying to cling on to that left rear quarter panel, get a side draft into 3 and 4, and maybe make it happen. But just needed a few more laps maybe to make it work. But I was driving pretty damn hard.
Seemed like for a little bit there in that battle, before you got exactly to Tom, it seemed like you were able to make the bottom work to catch him. But then when you got beside him, it wasn't so much there.
Well, exactly. I really did like the bottom in 1 and 2. I was rolling it really well. I don't know what I was doing differently, but I felt like I was really able to keep the car neutral down there. And as the run progressed, I was able to make up a lot of time entry center. And of course, running the bottom, the only place you really lose is exit. And that was the difference maker, not being able to merge all the way up to the wall, having to wait on the throttle just that little bit. And I run on a single monitor, so the last thing I wanted to do is like push a little extra hard and clip Tom and wreck him or something like that. So we were going to try as hard as I can, being reasonably cautionable. So it was yeah, it was still really, really fun though. I can't, like, I'm pure sweat right now. It was the hardest I've driven in a long time just to finish third.
Hey, it was fun to watch, man. It was fun to watch. Well, hey, give some shout outs whoever you like to.
Everybody at the drill aisle, NFR, SRD, setups, swag designs, of course, Sim500, another race, green flag to flag. It's one of the only leagues that you can kind of expect a race to go green flag to flag. So big shout out to all the drivers tonight.
Well, great job, man. You were part of it, and congratulations on your third place finish.
Thanks, Chris. Take care.
Absolutely, you too. Larry Pace finishing third here tonight after a great battle with this guy who finished in the second position. If I can get him up to the right channel here, Thomas Lewandowski with a great battle there at the end. Tom, I looked like you were kind of out there on your own island tonight. You were trying to maintain with Pedro, and of course you fell back just a little bit, kept it within about 5 to 10 seconds or so, and obviously a second place finish that seemed like was just a battle of maintaining your tires and keeping the car under you.
Yeah, it was the first run. I felt really good. The high side, I ran the high side in 3 and 4 like a lot, and I was keeping up for. At the very end, I started giving up, like with the tires and everything. But until then, I was keeping up with Pedro. Then I lost time. Me and Pedro pitted the same lap, and I had a really slow stop, and he got like a second and a half on me out of the pit stop, which didn't help. And then I stayed with the top in 3 and 4 there, but I think as a track rubbered in more and more people ran up there, it lost its speed. And I saw Larry was running me down. I switched back to the bottom in 3 and 4, and that seemed to help me maintain that spot.
I was more impressed with your pit entry because it looked like one of those where, correct me if I'm wrong, it looked like you kind of saw Pedro pitting. It's like, all right, I got to come now. And you jumped down there because I was like, man, I hope he didn't speed.
Yeah, that was, I was going to pit that lap anyway because I was going to be out of fuel. But it was one of those cases where a little ambitious there, especially when you get to the flat part of the track.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just sideways and I'm counter steering and trying to brake all at the same time and somehow beating speed, so I was okay with that.
Talk about the battle there at the end. I know Larry just said, man, how it's always fun racing you because it's hard racing but clean at the same time. Obviously, he got to you, but then you had to kind of pull out the old aero block card to keep him behind you.
Yeah, me and Larry, we've got a history, racing each other hard and clean stuff. He's a buddy of mine. But I was pulling out all the tricks there to try to keep behind me because he was so much faster. And it was a lot of work those last few laps because he's relentless.
Well, it was great. It was fun to watch, man, and definitely impressed. And obviously finishing second tonight. Send some shouts whoever you like to.
Just everyone at the Drill, Larry, John, Marcus, Bob, and I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting these things. You guys do a good job.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you soon.
All right, take it easy.
You too, buddy. Thomas Lewandowski finishing in the second position behind the man who he pulled out a stinker tonight, but it's okay. It was fun to watch, and Pedro, great job doing your best Pedro impersonation as you kind of fell back a little bit there, and you come back to the lead and able to pull away to a comfortable lead and go into victory lane for the 9th time.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was a hard race. That was a challenging race. I know, there at the end, was able to pull away from the field, but there at the start, it was tough because it's like, when do you go? So I knew early in the race just let those guys go because it wasn't time. But when Fuller started going and then when Lewandowski got to me, that's when I was like, okay, I can't go any further back. And then I was like, okay, it's about time to go because I think we were about 17 or 18 laps into a run, getting close to 20. And so I definitely wanted to start making my way up because these cars, they seem like there's a sweet spot with them where, where you saved your tires, you can take advantage of the people in front of you who didn't. But then after a certain amount of laps after that, everybody kind of evens out and you start running the same lap times, especially the way this track was and the setup with being loose off the corner. Drive off was difficult, so the longer you waited to pass somebody, the more difficult it would get. So yeah, the beginning of the race was challenging, and then we got out front and I thought we were going to set sail there, and I noticed like Fuller was still about 4 to 5 tenths of a second behind me for like the next 10 or so laps, and I wasn't really getting away from him. And I noticed he was running the top in 1 and 2, so I think about close to lap 30 I decided to move up, and then that's when we were able to start setting sail. It took a little bit, a couple laps after that, but we were starting to slowly creep away, and then I don't know, I think lap 40 or so we really started pulling on the field and got a decent lead before pit stops, which is what I wanted. Just to kind of give me a little bit of a buffer. But it seems like we had a good pit entry, a decent pit stop, and a good pit exit. So once that happened, it was practically just set it on cruise and hope for no yellows and just, manage the tires.
And it worked out obviously there for you. And I think I know the answer, but I'm just going to ask it just out of curiosity. The beginning of the race obviously goes green. You see EJ. Seems like the last few weeks he's made this move where he goes to the top side and just kind of blows your doors off. He does that to a lot of the guys up front there. And then Simley was able to get by. Fuller went by. And I know you mentioned you were just waiting to see when the right time to go was. But was there any time where you thought, hey, maybe I might be racing this guy for the win later on, or anything, any kind of nerves like that?
Yeah, the Fuller and Lewandowski for sure. They're good at this track. I've raced them quite a bit here, and either Sim500 or official races, and they're good. They're good here at Chicagoland. So I knew those guys were going to be the main competition. Unfortunately, Larry had his issues to start the race, or he was going to be up there too. It was pretty impressive what he did, but yeah, no, I saw those guys around me, so I figured, probably about lap 20, I needed to start making my move and not get too far back.
Right. Well, it worked out for you, man. Congratulations, and win number 9 of the season. You keep that 50% average going, as we're 2 races now after tonight from the playoffs, and it's your chance to, as always, send some shout-outs.
All right. No, I appreciate it, Chris. Appreciate you, Captain Esports, for putting on the broadcast. Glenn Campbell, Trans Service, appreciate them for jumping on board this year and let me race his brand, so glad to be representing it well. Tyler Dalton, appreciate him for painting this car. And all the guys on Team Name, appreciate them. Always have a lot of fun racing with them. All the admins, appreciate them and what they do. And NC811, appreciate everything they do for the league. And appreciate the family for letting me come and hang out for a couple hours.
Absolutely, man. Well, great job tonight. Congratulations, and we will see you tomorrow night in New Hampshire. As Pedro Mujica goes to victory lane here tonight for the 9th time. Well, not tonight. That'd be a record to win 9 races in one day. That'd be impressive, actually. But 9th time this season going to victory lane here at Chicagoland tonight. So, obviously, he's going to extend that point lead out a little bit. As a matter of fact, since we're so close to the playoffs here, I'm pretty sure the points are updated already. They're usually really good at this league at doing it. Let's see. It is updated. So let's do this real quickly. I'm just going to sit here and talk as you see the standings go by. And let's go and we'll show you the top 20 drivers right now as we go into the race next week at Nashville Super Speedway, which, if I remember correctly, was one of the tracks last year where Pedro really started to gain the momentum on his way to his 2022 championship. So remember, he had that great battle with Balkingham there. All right, here you go. Updated points as we enter the race, and I made sure it was the right series. Mojica leads by 105 over Chad Coleman. 117 back is Gillenwater, but let's go down here to the bubble. Brian Wertman right now with a 13-point lead over Jeff Ryan. Ron Holyfield is 15 back. Glenn Campbell is, let's see, that's 22 back. And let me eliminate the overlay off. There you go. Jason Branch moved up 2 spots to 20th, but sits some 43 points back. So he's going to need a lot to get up to that 16th spot. So right now, it is pretty much down to, we'll call it 4 guys. Unfortunately, with there's Joey Jatina up here at 11th. So as I look at, I'm just looking at some of the numbers here real quickly. So Wortman's at 389. You got Sigmund here at 392. Kevin DeBrown had a tough night. He's now right there on the bubble. Eric Arnold wasn't here tonight, so if he misses another race, he could fall down. So this little, I would say 11th down to 19th could get very interesting here in the next 2 weeks. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we go to Nashville here next week. But tomorrow night we focus on the Cup Series, the Talking Giants versus the World 150 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Looking forward to that broadcast. Kevin and I will be here around 8:15ish or so. It just comes down to how troubling of a day at work I have. Let's just be honest and not make up excuses here. So we'll be on the air. It's just depending on how late I get home and stuff. If we're on for a couple minutes of a pre-race or right into the race, we'll have to see. So hopefully it all works out. But hey, we appreciate you joining us on this Sunday evening. We head out. Congratulations to Pedro on the win. And always remember, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. Just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.